This is disgusting. This is 100% the equivalent of like putting up, I'm straight up saying it. This is literally being like, yo, Adolf, come talk. Like, come talk, please, at the U.S. Congress. And it's wild that this was a bipartisan invite from Chuck Schumer, who like a month prior to this, prior to inviting him alongside Michael Johnson, Michael Penis, had literally said he's awful and we have to replace him with Benny Gantz. I got all the smoke today. You know, listen, we're gonna be Israel posting today. Okay, I'm gonna be talking about Israel. So I know that that's like something that a lot of fair weather Democrats who only talk about, you know, want to talk about progress but never want to talk about this issue. You're gonna hear a little bit about that. Okay, so buckle in. Let's get started.
Speaker of the House, I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy for the fourth time. We meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization.
Gross, gross, piece of.
It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life.
Bro, dude, you are the barber. You are the barbarism. You are doing the barbarism. 40,000 in a conservative
America
estimate.
and Israel must stand together.
They're clapping for him.
Because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose.
It's going to be so hard for me not to say terms of service violations right now. Like every person, they're giving him a standing ovation the entire time.
And my friends, I came to assure you today of one thing. We will win. Ladies and gentlemen, like December 7th, 1941, and September 11th, 2001, October 7th is a day that will forever live in infamy. It was the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. It began as a perfect day, not a cloud in the sky. Thousands of young Israelis were celebrating at an outdoor music festival.
Yeah, he's gonna do gory details of October 7. He's gonna lie about some of the things that happened. Of course, he's not gonna bring up the fact that the IDF also messed up majorly and that he is seen as like part of the reason why October 7 happened, like how it was ever allowed to happen. We're not even gonna get to any of that real shit. He is a monstrous piece of shit.
They raped women.
Yeah.
They beheaded men. They burnt babies alive.
None of that is real!
They dragged 255 people, both living and dead, into the dark dungeons of Gaza. Israel has already brought home 135 of these hostages, including 7 who were freed in daring rescue operations.
You guys are mentally ill. If you think we're mentally ill for saying that like a person who is designated as a war criminal, who has been responsible for the death and destruction of an entire area filled to the brim, an open air prison, 40,000 dead, the majority women and children. If we think that that guy is a piece of shit, that makes us mentally ill, then yeah, I guess we're mentally ill. We're the ones who are mentally ill. You're right. Like this is equivalent to Adolf Hitler giving a speech and the American Congress giving him a standing ovation. Like straight up. Dude, this is, oh my God. I hate this. I hate this so much. But I do think, okay, here's my hopium. This is so gross. And it will literally bring back attention to Gaza because everyone was talking about in the past 7 days, in the past 2 weeks, things heated up. Since the debate, basically no one was talking about Gaza. Benjamin Netanyahu coming out and swinging for the fences in the immediate aftermath of an ICJ decision that declared Israel to be an apartheid state, that Israel must immediately evacuate all the territories that it currently occupies and go back to 1967 borders. And then the ICC warrant for his application is supposed to be going through any time. When he's giving a standing ovation like this, when you're giving a standing ovation like this, there are two things happen. One, people are gonna be like, why the f does anybody care about like a foreign leader this much? What the hell is going on? It will negatively polarize people, I think. And secondly, it will cause people to pay attention to Gaza again. It'll be in the forefront of the conversation again. And that in and of itself, I think, will have negative consequences for Israel. It'll have negative consequences for Benjamin Netanyahu.
For his heartfelt support for Israel after the savage attack on October 7th, he rightly called Hamas sheer evil. He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war. And he came to Israel to stand with us during our darkest hour, a visit that will never be forgotten.
Like, the dark side of this, of course, is that this causes so much more people to be anti-Semitic. Like, this is how anti-Semitism festers, okay? Also, Nadler literally called Benjamin Netanyahu a piece of shit yesterday, and he's also giving him a standing O here today. So it's like, what are you doing? Nadler, you shit your diapers on a regular basis, and you're using what remains of your, like, battery as an 800-year-old demon to, like, stand up to give him claps. What are we doing here?
With us today is Lieutenant Avichai Reuven.
Bro, they love doing identity politics. They're so fucking conservative. They're like, yeah, look, see, we have black people in the IDF, dude. Hey, guys, don't ever look up what we did to Ethiopian Jews, okay? Please, don't do that. Don't look at the sterilization operation that we engaged in. Israel, famously not racist. Like, this man is literally a far-right Republican in terms of, like, American Congress. And you have Democrats clapping for him. Even on partisan boundaries, this makes no sense. It's like if Donald Trump set up the concentration camps and then put, like, a black Customs and Border Patrol officer in a State of the Union address or a State of the Congress, and every Democrat was like clapping for the black Customs and Border Patrol guy. You know what I mean? It's so gross.
With us today is Yechiel Leiter, the father of one of those Maccabees. Yechiel's father escaped the Holocaust and found refuge in America. As a young man, Yechiel moved to Israel and raised a family of 8 children. He named his eldest son Moshe after his late father. Moshe became an exemplary officer in one of our elite commando units. He served with distinction for 2 decades while raising 6 beautiful children of his own. On October 7th, Moshe volunteered to return to combat. 4 weeks later,
dude,
he was killed when a booby-trapped mine exploded in a tunnel shaft right next to a mosque. At his son's funeral, Yechiel said this: "If the state of Israel had not been established after the Holocaust, the image engraved in our collective
I know the
memory
Leiter family
would have been
personally.
the
They're
photograph
settlers.
of that helpless Jewish boy in the Warsaw Ghetto holding his hands up in the air with Nazi rifles pointed at him. But because of the birth of Israel," Yechiel continued, "because of the courage of soldiers like my son Moshe, the Jewish people are no longer helpless in the face of our enemies."
Escape the Holocaust just to be abandoned by Israel and have the genocidal state brainwash his son and then lose them to Israel's genocidal operation? I know. He's like, dude, listen, he was on his way to go smell some Palestinian underwear that he found in a hollowed out apartment complex, and he blew up. America first, by the way. Yeah, Republicans love talking about America first, by the way. There is no world, I don't think that actual Republicans that aren't like the psychopathic biblical evangelical Protestants that think like Israel is going to bring about the rapture, outside of those guys, I don't think any Republican listens to this rabid, monstrous piece of and watch their representatives and watch their senators get up and give more of a rabid applause to a foreign nation's leader than their own president when their own president speaks, okay? This is a more rabid audience, a more bipartisan audience than when a Democratic president addresses Congress, than when a Republican president addresses Congress. This is incredible, okay? There is no better representation that America is completely bought and sold to corporate interests, that American Congress is completely bought and sold to whatever our foreign policy is going to be in the Middle East, than what you are experiencing right now. There is no way, I do not believe that like Republicans in Alabama that aren't like super invested in this televangelist narrative of the rapture coming are going to look at this and go, wow, I really love that my congressperson is out there clapping like a seal when this guy's saying like, we have to defend Israel. It's the most important state. No shot, dude.
They refuse to make the simple distinction between those who target terrorists and those who target civilians, between the democratic state of Israel and the terrorist thugs of Hamas. We recently learned from the National Security Director, U.S. Director of National Intelligence, that Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America.
Yeah.
So these protesters burn American flags even on the 4th of July. And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina.
Oh, God. Oh, I'm going to throw up.
The American flag.
Bro, this is American culture war. He's doing American culture war issues, brother. I'm telling you, he is just a Republican. Hey, man, I don't know how y'all do it in Israel, but we got a thing called free speech here, okay? It's motherfucking America. This shit ain't Israel, okay? You can't complain and cry about what is done to the American flag. Suck my dick. It's called the First Amendment. Constitutionally protected, too. Imagine having a foreign leader coming into a U.S. Congress, shitting on American citizens and having their own American representatives go, yeah, you're right. Suck my dick. Shame on every single person.
Proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
Gross, dude.
These protesters chant from the river to the sea, but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about. They not only get an F in geography, they get an F in history. They call Israel a colonialist state. Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah preached, and where David and Solomon ruled?
Why is Hakeem Jeffries clapping at that? Why are you clapping at that, you
4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people. It's always been our home. It will always be our home. It's not only the campus protesters who get it wrong. It's also the people who run those campuses. Anti-Semitism is the world's oldest hatred. For centuries, the massacre of Jews was always preceded by wild accusations. We were accused of everything from poisoning wells, to spreading plagues, to using the blood of slaughtered children to bake Passover matzahs. These preposterous anti-Semitic lies led to persecution, mass murder, and ultimately to history's worst genocide, the Holocaust. Now, just as malicious lies were leveled for centuries at the Jewish people, malicious lies are now being leveled at the Jewish state. The outrageous slanders that paint Israel as racist and genocidal are meant to delegitimize Israel, to demonize the Jewish state, and to demonize Jews everywhere. And no wonder we've witnessed an appalling rise of anti-Semitism in America and around the world.
Yeah, dude, no, this definitely won't contribute to like an appalling rise of actual anti-Semitism after Americans literally see something that they're not used to and they're like, why is this foreign leader getting so much play? Why does he have so much motion in American Congress? You think this doesn't contribute to anti-Semitism? This is literally like an American Nazi's wet dream. This is an American Nazi's wet dream. They're going to be like, they will run this over and over again to be like, see, they will take advantage of the lack of critical thinking, that the average American has on this issue. Because on the one side, on the Israeli front, Israel consistently uses Judaism as a cynical deployment, a cynical shield to be like, yeah, we're doing this for Jews around the world. Joe Biden then reiterates that point and says, not a single Jew would be safe without Israel being a Jewish ethno-state. So Americans also associate Israel with Judaism when they shouldn't. But there is no greater way to make that argument like, oh, see, look, Jews control the media, Jews control the Congress, like, look at this, is exactly what Nazis are going to say over and over and over again, especially as these dickheads are giving him a standing ovation.
Who aren't getting enough food, it's not because Israel is blocking it, it's because Hamas is stealing it.
It's just all of
So
this
much
is
for that
objectively
lie. But
a
here's
lie.
another. The ICC prosecutor accuses Israel of deliberately targeting civilians. What in God's green earth is he talking about? The IDF has dropped millions of flyers, sent millions of text messages, made hundreds of thousands of phone calls to get Palestinian civilians out of harm's way. But at the same time, Hamas does everything in its power to put Palestinian civilians in harm's way. They fire rockets from schools, from hospitals, from mosques. They even shoot their own people when they try to leave.
Bro, he's
the war
literally
zone.
just talking about Israel.
Hamas
He's literally
official,
just
Fatih
talking
Hamad,
about
boasted.
Israel.
Listen to this. He boasted that Palestinian women and children excel at being human shields. His words, excel at being human shields. What monstrous evil. For Israel, every civilian death is a tragedy. For Hamas, it's a strategy. They actually want Palestinian civilians to die so that Israel will be smeared in the international media and be pressured to end the war before.
Bro's like, we just can't stop killing Palestinian babies, okay? We won't stop. We can't stop. And Hamas loves it. They take advantage of our fucking unimaginable violence. And the worst part about killing all of those Palestinian babies is that we look bad. People go, hey man, why are you killing so many babies? It's really fucked up. Virtually every single thing he has said has been
the vast
debunked.
majority of Americans
Every single thing he has said
fallen,
is
for
either
this
pure
Hamas
projection,
propaganda.
it's Israel
They
doing
continue to support Israel.
that he's attributing to
And I wanna
Hamas,
say thank you,
or they've been
America,
completely
and thank you, senators and
debunked.
House members.
Will they bring up a Trump-style interpreter on CNN to address all of the lies he has told? I don't know.
The war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in the history of urban warfare. And you want to know where it's lowest in Gaza? It's lowest in Rafah. In Rafah. Remember what so many people said? If Israel goes into Rafah, there'll be thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of civilians killed.
Y'all burned an entire tent city down. What do you mean?
I asked the commander there, how many terrorists did you take out in Rafah? He gave me an exact number, 1,203. I asked him, how many civilians were killed? He said, Prime Minister, practically none, with the exception of a single incident where shrapnel from a bomb hit a Hamas weapons depot.
Why is chat so anti-American? Dude, that's so funny that you're saying that. Like, because we're not dick riding a foreign nation, because we're not dick riding a foreign nation's leader, absolutely just rubbing his penis on every single seat in Congress as they give him a standing O behind every word in a way that they don't even do when an American president is speaking. There are more partisan protests when a American president speaks and talks to its own Congress. And that's anti-American? You think that's anti-American because we're not sufficiently dick riding Israel, a foreign country? The fuck is being American to you? Oh, sorry. If you do not immediately get on your knees and Benjamin Netanyahu's, you are not sufficiently pro-America. Suck my.
That's why the mobs in Tehran chant death to Israel before they chant death to America. For Iran, Israel is first, America is next. So when Israel fights Hamas, we're fighting Iran. When we fight Hezbollah, we're fighting Iran. When we fight the Houthis, we're fighting Iran. And when we fight Iran, we're fighting the most radical and murderous enemy of the United States of America. And one more thing. When Israel acts to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons that could destroy Israel and threaten every American city, every city that you come from. We're not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you.
Yeah, Iran is going to invade America any day now, guys. Any day now. Like, how can you say you love this fucking nation and then simultaneously look at all of the poverty everywhere? The roads are f***ed. There's no infrastructure. Bridges are falling apart. You can't pay for education. Everything is too expensive. And this Congress is sending billions of dollars of weapons to a foreign state so they can actively murder more children and women. Like, think about that. How can you say you love America? How can you say you love America and then simultaneously turn around and go, and that's precisely why we got to give billions and billions of dollars to an apartheid state? Even if you don't give a even if you personally don't care about all the brown children that they're killing because they're brown, you should still be like, why are we giving them billions of dollars of weapons? Like, what the fuck are we doing here? How does that make sense in your mind? Explain that to me. And before people start chirping about like, oh, see, America's controlled by Jews. You know who's getting arrested outside of these halls right now? Jews, motherfucker. You know who got arrested yesterday? Jews. Jews for ceasefire. Not in our name. Jewish Voice for Peace. There are so many Jewish-led groups that are anti-war and anti-Israel and anti-Zionist that are getting absolutely murked right now by American police because they're American Jews who say, not in our name. And they get arrested by the hundreds. They are tear gassing the press outside right now without even a dispersal order given, mind you. And we're doing that for what? We're doing that for Israel. It's not for Jews. It's for Israel. Israel might claim cynically that they are doing this for Judaism, but it's absolutely unconscionable behavior that has nothing to do with Judaism whatsoever. Never forget, there are significantly more evangelical Protestants that are ultra-Zionist in totality in this country than there are Jewish Zionists in this country. Okay? There are 10x more evangelical Protestants that love Israel and want Israel to keep being this psychotic, rabid, bloodthirsty state, specifically because they think the rapture is going to happen. 10x the number of Jews in totality, as a matter of fact. Anti-Zionist Jews and Zionist Jews combined do not even make 1/10 of the number of evangelical Protestant Christians who are rabid ultra-Zionists in this country.
My dear friends, the war in
this
Gaza
just happened. Look at that. Netanyahu's giving a smug-ass speech in Congress. Karmit Palti-Katzir, whose father and brother were murdered on October 7th and her mom kidnapped, is arrested by Capitol Police for wearing a shirt demanding Netanyahu seal the deal. Like, there are Israeli-American Jews who are literally there to protest Benjamin Netanyahu, whose family members have been killed on October 7th, and they're protesting Netanyahu, and we're arresting them. Okay? We are so cucked, dude.
I came here today to say thank you, America. Thank you for your support and solidarity. Thank you for standing in Israel, with Israel, in our hour of need. Together, we shall defend our common civilization. Together, we shall secure a brilliant future for both our nations. May God bless Israel, may God bless America, and may God bless the great alliance between Israel and America forever.
This is obviously vile, but I don't know, might have said enough to actually give cover for Dems to break on it, rebuff the peace plan, and glaze Trump on top of being a bloodthirsty monster. If the Democrats, which, by the way, in both the Senate and the House, almost the majority of the Democratic caucus did not attend this speech. They are either openly boycotting it or simply not attending it. This is very important to understand. If Kamala Harris doesn't boulder Netanyahu after this speech, she was not in attendance here. If Kamala Harris does not boulder Netanyahu after this speech, which, by the way, this is the second time he's done this to a Democratic administration. For all of the fucking liberals in the chat, I need you to understand something. He did this to Barack Obama too. Republicans, back then, Republicans invited him. This time it was a bipartisan invitation. He did this to Barack Obama as well when Barack Obama was securing Iran denuclearization agreement, a phenomenal foreign policy achievement. If this level of disrespect is not even addressed on partisan lines, okay, not even on a moral quandary, not even on moral boundaries, not even on like, oh, it's unconscionable that this guy is a bloodthirsty war criminal, not even on those lines, but simply on partisan lines, the disrespect, the gall, the audacity that you could just sit there, be the biggest welfare state on the planet, okay, and then go up to daddy and spit on daddy's face like this. No more. No more, dude. No fucking way. No how. The notion that he gets to, I want to see what the media coverage is going to look like on CNN, but the notion that like he gets to do this
Of criticisms
Yeah,
that have
58
been
members of Congress skipped
leveled
Netanyahu's
against
speech.
Israel and the prosecution
More
of
members
its
skipped
war
it this
in
time
Gaza.
around.
He says that if Palestinians are not getting enough food, that is not Israel's responsibility or fault. He blames it purely on Hamas. We should note that aid groups have said that Israel has made it very hard to get not just food, but
yes,
needed
address
medical
that.
supplies
Call that
to
out.
Gaza, and that right now we're seeing levels of starvation.
I'm telling you,
rising.
dude. I'm telling you, this is going to have backlash. This is going to negatively polarize people, I think. This is going to make people recenter their focus on Gaza. Kamala Harris has a phenomenal opportunity to change the narrative on the Democratic Party's allegiance to Israel. Kamala Harris needs to ride this and, at least on the messaging front, come out way strictly, way more strict on Israel.